Now, this little mushroom caught my eye because it's got a certain beauty. Can you see that pink hue it's got? It's a very pleasant shaped mushroom. I seem to remember it's quite an important mushroom. It's a little bit out of touch, but that's a beautiful find. And there's only one, and in complete isolation. Very nice. And so I'm going to put it back to see if it can continue on its journey. Now, coming off the beaten track, because if I'm going to find any fungi that hasn't had the shit kicked out of it by dumbasses, then I've got to come into regions which are too difficult for them to traverse. It's not worth their while because they're not looking for anything in particular. They're just dog walking drones, you know? And these dog walking drones will kick the fuck out of anything they don't understand along their journey. So along the well-worn path, anything in that vicinity gets the shit kicked out of it, which is a shocking indictment on the fucking human being, to be quite frank. If only there were more of us with Darwin inclinations. Now there's a pleasant looking shaggy parasol sitting there all on its own. Behind the fence, look, its saving grace is because it's behind this little fence. Otherwise it would have been kicked to fuck. Just like people are possessed with demons. As soon as you say, kick that to fuck, kick that to fuck, we're all poisonous, you're all devils. The only mushroom on the planet that isn't poisonous is the one they buy in the fucking supermarket. Knobheads. You might get the impression that I have a dull outlook on the human being. It's not without good reason, people. It's just their stupid mentality. Now, I wonder how many of you can relate to this experience. When you've been in the woods, when you've been in a wooded realm, and it's been an old wood, you're off the beaten track, you're not on any worn fucking towpath going through anywhere. You're off the beaten track and you're all alone, a long way away from anybody else. And there's no traffic. Like when we get a respite between the cars going past on this road. We're so connected. It's very unnerving for the uninitiated. It's eerie. And this is why all of these horror movies, you know, display the woods as a very, you know, evil and nefarious place with all these monsters and ghouls. The monsters and ghouls are in the human psyche, and when the human psyche knows it's absolutely alone, invariably it becomes afraid. And when it becomes afraid, of course, it creates its monsters. And so then it sees monsters' faces in the trees and in the leaves, and it hears strange creatures creeping around and branches and twigs breaking. And then they start to panic, and then they start to run, and then their feet get ravelled up in the briar and the brambles, and then they fall down, and then they get cut and grazed, and then they become more terrified, and then they end up grovelling on their hands and knees through the woods in a desperate attempt to find the outside world. When what's been going on They've just created a bad trip. These fuckers don't even need psychedelics, people. They don't even need psychedelics. You just leave them alone. You leave them alone in a room with a fucking knife. You know what's going to be there in the end. It ain't going to be the human being. It's amazing how people, they'll go insane. They really will tear their own throats out when they're in isolation. Now, I was in isolation quite a few occasions in my life, to be fair. But this particular time, I was in a forced isolation. And evil seemed to permeate. You know when you see documentaries of people incarcerated in solitary confinement, you just got these concrete walls, you've got no windows, you've got nothing except time. Tick, 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 tick. And your mind, well, when you've got nothing except time in your mind, that's when the monsters come about. That's when you get a visitation from the devil himself. Oh yeah. And he'll ask you, do you want to end it? Do you? Do you want to end it? You can, you know. All you've got to do is jump down from that top bunk and smash his skull on that concrete floor. Then you'll end it. It's there whenever you want it. Yeah. So I asked myself, is there really a devil? Are there really demons? Or is it just mind? And I think it's just mind, people. Because everything emanates from mind. And for those of you that know anything about the Jewish, not even Jewish, no, the Jewish never invented the devil. The Christians invented the devil, people. And it was writers in the 14, 15, 1600s, like Dante and Milton, that invented all these depictions of the devil and hell and all these sort of places. You read Dante's Divine Comedy, and then you'll see where the world's got its ideas from. You read Milton's Paradise Lost, you'll see why the human being thinks they're so fallen. Well, it's only a state of mind. We're not fallen. It's just that we've not ascended. And that's the thing. We've not fallen. We're just not self-realised. We don't realise how brilliant we are. Cheers. But if you have a handle on your own psychology, then you'll know that you are the creator of devils and angels, gods and demons. And if you aren't the creator of them, then they are you. They are all part and parcel of what it is to be a human being. They pertain to human psyche. They pertain to consciousness. It's all in consciousness, which is you. So it is you. And depending on how you think about these things, whether you lend your mind to them, if you lend your mind to demons, why, it's endless. If you lend your mind to angels and gods and things like that, then that also appears to be infinite. It's a choice, people. For most of us it's a choice, but if your mind isn't healthy, then it isn't a choice. If your mind is corrupt, then it leads you into the darkness. And you have to be very, very strong to come out of the darkness, people. And many people don't make it. I know many people who didn't make it. You have to be strong. I don't know whether you have to have cosmic God consciousness, spirit, purpose, reason to live. I think if you let your reason to live slip away, then the other options seem much more viable. And I've been very fortunate in my life to always have deep, deep and profound reasons to live. Because I love life. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So why would I want to end it? But having the choice is nice now and again. O fungi, where art thou? So that feeling of being absolutely alone in a wood, the mind runs wild, and it very quickly reverts back to ancient mythology. Very, very quickly you'll start to consider elves and goblins and gnomes and all those different sorts of things. You just will, people. You just will. When I've been alone in these environments, I've never thought of devils or anything like that. I've thought of these mystical folklore creatures, and they're there for a reason, people, because they're a part of our psyche. Because for some reason, our psyche lends itself to those sort of realms and creatures when we don't have anything else to cling to. When you're absolutely alone, and you're in an environment and you feel the spirit, well, the spirit's thick. It's thick, people. It's thick with all of these varieties of creature. No doubt about that. Anyway, Weirdo of the woods here. Somebody's going to be walking up by this parameter soon, and if they observe me, they're going to think I'm a